Alright, so it's been a couple weeks since the last video. If you've been following and if you've been, following the Google Plus, the Elementary Google Plus group, you should be able to see kind of what's going on with Elementary Studio. There's been some teases and stuff, and if you follow me on Google Plus, you'll see updates and things that happen. So I'm just going to kind of recap a lot of things that have happened since the last video and answer a couple questions. One of the most common questions I get is, when is Elementary Studio going to be released? At this time, I don't know. There's still a lot of things that need to be done to make it a smooth editor where, the average person can come in and just work off of it. Regarding licensing and stuff, that's still a question as to how I want to license it. So that's still up in the air. I want to do it in a way that, that I can still support it for a long period of time, and that I can ensure that it's, the most simple feature-packed editor possible. Another thing is, some people had some concerns about the user interface and how the way things work. They deemed it a little clunky, or they didn't like the way that it looked, and that's perfectly fine. I understand that. Anybody's welcome to show me a mock-up. You can see me on my Google Plus and show it to me on my Google Plus, and I'd be happy to look at it and see, what we can do with that. You may have an idea that I don't have. You may have something better. If you think so, show it to me. I have no problems changing anything. If a lot of people, mentioned getting with Dan Rabbit and a couple of the elementary designers. There's been some talk in passing, but if they want to do something, the offer is open to them. I'll talk to anybody about it if they have concerns or questions about it. So basically, I'm open to criticism. So let's go ahead and dive into Elementary Studio and talk about a couple changes since the last video. This is the basic view when you open up a project. Now, there's going to be some changes that you'll have seen. First thing is on the left-hand side, the bar got changed a little bit. Down here is the deployment section, and up here is the project toolbar. I did that because, for a couple reasons. There's no point in having like the new file button way down here in the corner. It seemed a little, ridiculous. And so I put it right up here because it seems like this is a much easier place to use it. There's also this is like the name of the project, but it also switches between projects, real simple. And then this is the refresh button. So if you change your file structure in a file manager or somewhere else, you can hit the refresh button, and the structure will update itself. So that's, something that I wanted to add in. On the right-hand side, you're going to notice there's a toolbar. Now, the toolbar that goes down the side, the reason why I've added this is because there's a lot of things that are going to be added to Elementary Studio to help. This toolbar is divided into three parts. The first part is system-wide functions or system-wide plugins. So, for example, file search. This isn't completed yet. I'm still working on the toolbar. It's one of the things that need to be completed. But this is going to be a system-wide file search. So it will search all the files in your project or where you choose, and it will go through and look through all of them for something that you pick or that you're looking for. The second is the docs window. There's a current bug with this, so it's going to crash, but this is the docs window, and I haven't exactly decided entirely how to proceed with this, but this is this is where all the documentation is going to go. You select your language and you select your library, and it's going to load the documentation regarding your library and so forth. The other section is that, yep, see, I told you it was broken. So that's the toolbar is still very much a work in progress. So the other part is this middle bar is actually the files. These are functions that are based on files. So, for example, I open this main vola file, and because this main vola file is a text file and it's a code file, this is a symbol icon for symbols, and it's going to list all of the symbols, methods, functions, everything in the file. It's going to list it here so that you can click on it and quickly go to it. That's one of the things that's coming. The other thing is this bottom section down here is user functions. So you choose this plus button, and the plus button is going to open up a dialog, and you, for example, say you want GIMP. Okay, So you open an image in Elementary Studio because we're going to be able to view images and stuff. So you open an image, you're looking at the image, and you're like, I really want to edit this. So then you click the GIMP icon, and GIMP's going to automatically load up and load the image for you by passing the parameters to GIMP to load the image. So you can quickly edit the image and close it, and then the image will update itself in Elementary Studio for you. That's something that's coming. Like I said, toolbar is one of the things that needs to be finished. So let's talk about a couple other things that's been emphasized. I've gone through and actually rewritten the entire language structure for Elementary, and I'll show you why I did this. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the Elementary Studio project here. So these files are what's going to be in the opt eStudio directory, and this is going to be a language folder. Now, in the language folder, you'll see different languages: HTML, Java, JavaScript, Vala. Now, I'll show you Vala because that's the best example. In Vala, there's boiler files and there's boilerplates. These house basically skeleton files and skeleton projects. If you have a boiler file, which this is the definition of file for a boiler file, and then you have a hello world file. This is the hello world file, and you go GTK dialog. We'll look at this. So, hello world Vala GTK, it gives you the name, the file description, and the language that this boiler file is for. Now, when you launch when you try to make a new file, this boiler file is going to be here, GTK hello world. So if I select this and I create a new file, it's going to make a duplicate of this file in my project. So it's really good for reusable code, basically. The other part is projects. This is a project for a boilerplate. It's basically a skeleton project. So name, file description, language. In this case, the file is actually a folder. So this is a skeleton folder for a project. And then there's also the switchboard plugin skeleton folder there. Now the other thing is I've added a form of autocomplete to Elementary Studio. Type in the first 3-4 letters of the function that you're looking for, and you press Control and Spacebar, and this window is going to show up, showing you different options. So, for example, if I have a G, I'll hit Control Space, and it's going to give me options for Granite and GTK, because these are the definitions that are there. And it's going to give you the closest match here as quick selections. And then you can choose details to see more details about it. This is still to be worked with. So, there's autocomplete here that works actually pretty well. Now, autocomplete is kind of a hot button issue for me, and here's why. A lot of editors don't include the ability to add to the autocomplete list, or it's very difficult to do so. I find that very frustrating because there's numerous libraries out there, and I can't keep track of everything. Unfortunately, I can't. So, when you to fix that, basically, I've added definition files. And basically what it is you take a definition file and you drop it in the languages completion folder, and when you're working with that language, the completion loads those definitions. So, for example, I'm working with Vala, so Vala completion, and we have Granite and GTK definitions. Now, this is an example of a definition file. You have the information header at the top, has the name, the library that it requires, the language, the description, the extension for the file. So, like, if I change this to HTML, what's going to happen is, if I open an HTML file, this definition file is going to be in play. So if I open an HTML file, after I change this to HTML and I open an HTML file, and I go to type Granite and I hit Control Spacebar, it's going to give me the Granite definitions. So, and then the definitions go, from 1 through however many. And the reason why it's done that way is because I want to be able to add definitions quickly and simply to the definition files. So, let me give you an example of box, for example. Okay, so here's the box, GTK box, orientation, spacing. There's no icon for the box, and this is the description. So we'll go back to Vala, and we'll go public gtk.box. Okay, so gtk.box. It gives me the details on the side, and I hit enter, and it gives me the orientation and spacing of the box. So in this instance, if I wanted to go, let's just scroll down here a little bit. Let's say here, okay. Let's go var box equals new gtk dot box. So it makes it real simple, and honestly, I don't think anybody can remember every function for every library, but if you put it in a definition file, when you go to type it out, Control spacebar brings it right up, no problem. Another hot button thing was the addition of marking saved files. I asked for some comments on Google+, and a lot of people had a lot of comments. It was a very big issue, and that's cool. You know, I wanted to get people's opinions. So basically what I've decided is to add in the ability for save files for you to customize how the file views is saved. So in this instance, I have selected unsaved in the settings for Elementary Studio, so I'm going to have an unsaved little badge here. In other instances for unsaved, you know, you can change that from a badge to an asterisk over here, or to a circle, you know, things like that. So that it's better. The goal is to emphasize to new users that this file is unsaved. You know, more practice users and stuff should have no problem showing it as being unsaved. You know, it's whatever their personal preference is. Now, one of the other things about Elementary Studios is, and I've said this before, is that I want it to be as open as possible and as, you know, versatile as possible with everything. This is an Android project. Android is not done for this for Elementary Studio yet. It's something that's being worked on. This is a PhoneGap Elementary project. Now I'm going to show you kind of how this works. So for example, for PhoneGap, it's a PhoneGap Elementary file. So I'm going to go ahead and open up a file, because this stuff's all private. So I'm going to go ahead and open up a file that I know that doesn't have any special information. So let's go ahead and open up buttons, because I know that doesn't have any special information. Alright, so this is a PhoneGap file. Now for this particular setting, it's set for Android. So when I press the play button, oops, I better cd to the directory. That's a bug, so that's a bug that's being fixed. But anyways, so here I am in the directory of my project. When I press the play button, it's actually going to go ahead and start building the Android project, and when it's done, it's going to send it directly to my phone. So give it a second or two. Alright, so now it's on my phone. This project's been built and it's been sent directly to my phone, which I find very fast. It's much faster than Eclipse and much more lightweight than Eclipse. Still a lot of support to be done for mobile devices, but mobile devices will be supported at some point in Elementary Studio. Now back to the whole comments about it being released. Now, there are three main parts to Elementary Studio that I have to finish before I'll do a public release. The first thing is the sidebar on the right has to be finished. That's almost done. That's not a big thing. It's almost done. It's about 16 hours of work for me. I can get in, get out, get it finished. Now the other part is actually creating a build system. At the moment, Elementary Studio builds it from a console. It's real quick, simple. I don't like that. I want a build system. I want the build system to be much more robust, where you can actually choose the build options that you have. You can choose different targets. You know, I want it to be one of the best build systems out there. I want you to be able to deploy, clean, specify variables in your projects. So there's a lot to do with the build system. I want to automatically create the CMake files for Vala on build. That's something that I need to get done. So all of these things are things that need to be done before I can release it. The big thing is the building and the sidebar on the right. And also deployments. Deployment needs to be finished as well. So that's going to be another thing that's on the list. So building files, deploying, and on the right side, the sidebar. So when those are finished, Elementary Studio will be publicly released. Now, I will begin beta testing with a select few people here within the middle of March, just to get some bugs taken care of. There's some bugs that I really want to get finalized and done before releasing anything. So now the reason why that is, and I know a lot of people are going to want, say open source it, we'll work on it, etc., etc. The reason why I want to do that is because the whole goal of Elementary Studio is to be simple for new users to be able to just load Elementary Studio, start a Vala project, and be able to finish it. Now, that is the goal, and that is why I want to do testing and see what people think when they use it, and see what bugs they have, so that I can make it as smooth of an experience as physically possible for people. So, that's kind of where we're at with Elementary Studio, and just showing off a couple different things. If you have any questions or concerns, or you want to have a suggestion or something, go ahead and just hit me up on Google Plus, and I'll be able to answer whatever questions and stuff that you have or concerns that you have. So, thanks.